Hi, my name is Saskia, and today I'm going to present our paper, CrowdSurfer, seamlessly integrating crowd feedback tasks into everyday internet surfing. This is a research project of my colleagues Benke, Fischer, Maedche, and me. The continuous evaluation of software is of course an important part of every development project. It is not only crucial for user acceptance and user satisfaction, but can also help to identify problems and new requirements. One approach to evaluate software designs in a scalable way is the crowdsourcing of feedback via dedicated software systems, also called crowd feedback systems. In this approach, usually a large group of people with no significant experience in software design is recruited on crowdsurfing platforms like Amazon Mechanical Turk or Prolific in order to provide feedback on graphic or interactive designs. We identified several problems with traditional crowd feedback studies. First, feedback providers are often decoupled from an actual context of use. They are presented with a design and are asked for their opinion, but often they do not completely comprehend the situation in which the system would be used. Second, they are not actual or intended users of the design, which means their feedback might be less relevant. Maybe they just do not understand the design because they lack domain knowledge. And third, traditional crowd feedback studies are not designed for a continuous feedback collection, but only provide an evaluation for a snapshot of the current design. So, in this study, we aim to develop a solution for these problems. Our goal was to develop a system to collect in-situ crowd feedback for websites via casual microtasking. Casual microtasking describes the integration of microtasks into other primary activities. This will allow us to continuously collect feedback from actual website users while they are using the website. To develop the crowd feedback system, we followed a three-step approach. First, we conducted interviews with crowd workers to better understand the requirements for such a system, and we reviewed the literature. Then we designed the system, and finally we evaluated the system. In the first step of the exploration phase, we developed a simple prototype of our system that we called CrowdSurfer. The CrowdSurfer was implemented in the form of a Google Chrome extension that shows pop-ups on respective websites in which crowd workers can then enter their feedback. Based on interviews with 5 crowd workers, we identified 3 core design goals that we needed to consider in further iterations. First, the CrowdSurfer needs to be seamlessly integrated in crowd workers' everyday internet surfing. That means it shall be noticeable, but at the same time shall not distract the crowd workers too much from their primary task. Second, crowd workers need to be in control of the CrowdSurfer. That means the crowd workers need a feature to control their boundaries between work and non-work activities. And third, our crowd feedback system needs to achieve a high feedback quality in order to be valuable to feedback requesters. Following these design goals, we designed a working artifact of the CrowdSurfer. After installing the CrowdSurfer via the Google Chrome Web Store, crowd workers need to log in by using their Prolific ID. First, they need to solve a demo task to learn all about the functionalities of the CrowdSurfer. After clicking through the instructions, they have to provide feedback on the color picker panel to finish the setup. Then, they can access the CrowdSurfer by clicking on the icon in the upper right corner. Now, whenever they enter a website, in this case Amazon, that offers a feedback task, they see a feedback pop-up attached to an element. They can enter their feedback in form of a star rating and a short text. The pop-ups also offer a menu in which crowd workers can see additional information on the task, such as payment and the task requester contact information. And they can set a reminder for the task, in case they want to postpone it. The pop-up also provides a feature to minimize it in case something important is, for example, hidden by it. And finally, crowd workers can also reject tasks by clicking on the cross icon. When they submit a task, they see how many tasks they have already solved on the respective website, so that they do not start searching for tasks when they are non-available. When they click on the CrowdSurfer icon in the upper right corner, they can open a panel to manage the extension. They can click on a question mark to redo the task or log out from the extension. They can also turn off the search for tasks, which means that no information on them is tracked anymore, and they won't be distracted by any task pop-ups. Below, they see an overview of the completed tasks per day, per month, and on the current website. And on the bottom, they see the latest tasks that they have submitted. For our evaluation, we decided to compare the CrowdSurfer with a baseline, which is a simple feedback survey that shows crowd workers a screenshot of a website element and asks them about their feedback. We recruited participants for both treatments on Prolific. In the baseline, we had 29 participants who participated in the survey and a post-task questionnaire. In the post-task questionnaire, they were asked about their perceptions regarding task duration, work flexibility, and fairness of payment. In the CrowdSurfer treatment, participants first had to install the CrowdSurfer extension, and then they had 7 days to work on feedback tasks that were implemented on a few very popular websites like Wikipedia, Amazon, eBay, and YouTube. And after the 7 days, they also received an invitation to a post-task questionnaire on Prolific. And 12 of our 34 participants were also willing to participate in an additional semi-structured interview in which we wanted to learn more about the feedback process, the user experience with the CrowdSurfer, and the impact of the CrowdSurfer on their working conditions. Our results reveal that crowd workers who used the CrowdSurfer to provide feedback perceived the payment as significantly fairer and the duration they needed for completing the tasks as significantly lower. There was no significant difference in the perceived work flexibility. Interestingly, the feedback quality with the CrowdSurfer was significantly lower than the feedback quality of the baseline treatment in almost every category. Our interviews showed that participants perceived the CrowdSurfer as simple and fun to use and felt the feedback requests were very personal to them. On the negative side, they perceived the requests as not specific enough. They additionally had security and data privacy concerns regarding the Chrome extension. For the feedback process, they appreciated the seamless integration of the feedback task into their normal internet surfing and felt more in the context when providing feedback. On the negative side, they were sometimes interrupted by task pop-ups and did not like that they won't find all available tasks. Crowd workers also liked that the CrowdSurfer made it feel like no pressure to them to work on tasks or reject tasks. They also liked that they had less effort for background work, such as selecting tasks to work on. And on the negative side, some participants actively searched for tasks, which was not intended by us. We assume that participants in the CrowdSurfer treatment perceived the payment as more fair as they spent less time working on tasks and had less additional background work to do, as they stated in our interviews. For the reduced feedback quality, we found multiple explanations. First, the feedback texts in the CrowdSurfer treatment were much shorter, maybe because the text fields were smaller than in the survey. And in shorter text, of course, less information is included. Another potential explanation is that participants in the baseline were mainly focused on providing feedback, as this was their only task, so of course they spent more time and effort on providing feedback. In the CrowdSurfer treatment, providing feedback was only a secondary task, which participants wanted to complete quickly, and they did not put their main focus on providing high quality feedback. Maybe they also just cared less about receiving the payment or not. Based on our findings, we derived 6 design recommendations for designing similar tasks for casual microtasking. Finally, we see 3 potential avenues for future research with the CrowdSurfer. We assume that the most promising one is the exploration of further microtasks that could be solved with the CrowdSurfer. For example, the CrowdSurfer could be used to collect feedback on image alt text in the web to increase the accessibility. To sum it up, we designed the CrowdSurfer, a browser extension to collect in-situ feedback via casual microtasking. We learned that the collected feedback is of lower quality, but crowd workers felt more in the experience when providing feedback and therefore perceived their feedback as more relevant. Additionally, they perceived providing feedback via the CrowdSurfer as less effort and fun to do. In our study, we demonstrated the feasibility of integrating tasks into crowd workers' daily life. Thank you very much for your attention, and in case you have any remaining questions on our research, please just get in touch with us.